If you're watching this video right now, there's a good chance that AI has started to feel like a countdown clock. Every headline, every LinkedIn post, every AI just replaced X story, it all points towards the same question. How long until it's my turn? And I understand that completely, but here's what you need to hear. The insecurity that you're feeling right now, it's not new. It's just wearing a different mask. Now, I want to tell you something I've never ever publicly said before. When I walked into the company office I was working for on a Thursday afternoon in February 2025, the thing that was about to happen to me, my redundancy, had nothing to do with AI at all. There was no AI that replaced me. No algorithm made me obsolete. It was just a conversation. 20 minutes and then 20 years of what I thought was security just ended. And here's the part that I didn't understand until much, much later. I walked out of that room with every single skill that I'd ever built. That includes 20 years of judgment, 20 years of pattern recognition, 20 years of walking into messy situations and making them work. Nobody took any of that from me. But I actually had nothing to show for it. You see, every solution I'd ever created, every problem I'd ever solved, well, all of it was inside that company's building, on their company systems, and built for a company that no longer exists. So I'd spent 20 years of getting better and better at something, and it actually feels like none of that was ever really mine to keep. It felt like I'd been running a factory inside someone else's warehouse, and then the whole warehouse just shut down and they took everything I'd ever built with it. But you see, this is where the AI conversation that's happening right now is getting it completely wrong. And I mean genuinely properly wrong. The fear right now is that AI is going to take your job. But that question, well, it's the wrong question. I was asking my own version of that question for 20 years without ever realizing it. The question I was asking myself was, am I good enough to keep this job? But the question I should have been asking was, do I own anything I'm building? AI hasn't really created job insecurity, but it's actually exposed a vulnerability that's always been there. There's nothing worse than trying to build your output inside of a structure that you ultimately don't own or control. And here's what's happening right now. Most people are looking at AI and thinking, I need to learn AI before AI learns my job. And underneath all of that movement, all the courses, all the certifications and all the panic is this quiet growing assumption that if you get good enough at the new thing, you'll be safe. But unfortunately, you won't. Because the problem was never really about which skill you had. It was actually about who owned the output. Now, let me tell you exactly what happens if you try and build something from that mental place as well. Because that place becomes the I need to stay ahead place. And everything that you build will ultimately come from panic. And that new learning that you think you need will come from fear. Your decisions will come from the need to feel safe right now, and not from the need to build something that lasts and is your own. And the thing that hit me the hardest when I finally looked at it honestly, the answer was actually embarrassingly simple. AI isn't actually going to take your job, because your job was never yours to begin with. Now, here's how you can identify what it is that AI will actually reach and what it can't. Because this is where you're going to stop being afraid and start being strategic with your thinking. So here's what I want you to do. Grab yourself a piece of paper and draw one line right down the middle. And on the left side of that piece of paper, you want to write down every single thing that you do at work that someone else could write a really simple procedure for. It could be a process or a repeatable output. Basically, if you could hire and train a brand new person to do that in 2 weeks using a simple checklist, then it goes on the left-hand side of that page. Now, on the right-hand side of that piece of paper, I want you to write down the things that you do that nobody has asked you to do. And these are big things that nobody's really talking about. So the problems that you spot before anyone else, the way you connect things that don't obviously connect, the judgment calls that you make, it could even be the relationships that you built just by being you. So here's what you're looking at when you've drawn all that out. The left column on that piece of paper, that's what AI is effectively coming for. Not today or tomorrow, but eventually, because anything that can be written as a procedure can eventually be automated. And the right-hand column on that piece of paper, well, that is your actual asset, because that was yours before the job, it's yours during the job, and it walks out the door with you at the end of every day, or when you quit your job in the future or whatever else, and you take that with you no matter what happens. Because nobody can take your judgment away, and nobody can automate your instincts. What you've written isn't just a list of strengths, It's the beginning of something that you actually own. Trust me on this. The faster that you can see the difference between what's repeatable and what's uniquely yours, then the faster you can stop being afraid of AI and start using it to do the left column stuff so that you can focus entirely on the right. Now, I'd recommend that you watch the video that's on screen next, because once you've identified what it is that's actually yours, the next question isn't actually when to quit, but it's how to build from exactly where you are.